while issuing a sharp new warning to Tehran, demanding a quick move towards a peace deal. Well, Trump said time is of the essence and warned that without fast action, there won't be anything left of Iran. On the other hand, Iranian media has said Washington had failed to make any concrete concessions in its latest response to Iran's proposed agenda for negotiations to end the war. We'll get you more details on that on the show.
Also on World DNA, the World Health Organization has declared an international health emergency. And this is over the outbreak of an Ebola strain in the Democratic Republic of Congo that has already killed more than 80 people, for which there is no vaccine yet. Fears of further spread have been growing when a laboratory confirmed a case in the major eastern DRC city of Goma, which is controlled by the Rwanda-backed M23 militia. There are a lot of details coming in on this story. Lots more lined up for you right here on World DNA. Let's start with the headlines.
DR Congo's rebel-held city of Goma reports first case of Ebola as World Health Organization declares international health emergency over outbreak of a strain in the country that has killed more than 80 people so far.
Donald Trump warns Iran that the clock is ticking, warning that if Tehran doesn't come with a better offer for a deal, they are going to get hit much harder.
The United Arab Emirates blames Iran or its proxies for a drone strike that caused a fire near a nuclear plant, calling it a dangerous escalation. The fire outside the Ebola nuclear plant has caused no injuries or radiation alerts.
In Israel, a new death penalty law to be applied to Palestinians convicted of killing Jews in the occupied West Bank. It has come into effect after Israeli military signed the order necessary to enact the measure in the territory.
President Donald Trump and top cabinet officials addressed a mass prayer rally in Washington. The gathering was organized by the White House as part of America's 250th anniversary celebrations, but critics see it as an overt display undermining separation of church and state.
Two U.S. Navy fighter jets collide mid-air during a demonstration event, and the incident involving two EA-18 fighter jets happened in Idaho, with all 4 crew members safe as they ejected safely.
The Indian Navy is set to commission 3 indigenous vessels, a stealth frigate, the Nagari, an anti-submarine warfare craft, Agre, and a survey ship, Sanshodak, in a fresh push to strengthen its operational edge in the Indian Ocean region.
Oil prices rise sharply on Monday as West Asia tensions escalate after attacks on UAE and Saudi raise fears. Concerns over stalled peace efforts and possible U.S. military action against Iran pushed Brent above $110 and the U.S. crude above $107 per barrel. West Asia is simmering again. Talks to bring the war to an end have stalled.
And this comes after a drone strike near the UAE's Baraka nuclear power plant, of course, has now raised alarm across the region. Saudi Arabia has said that it has intercepted incoming drones from Iraqi airspace, and U.S. President Donald Trump has issued another warning to Iran. Authorities in Abu Dhabi say a drone strike triggered a fire near Baraka nuclear power plant in the Al Dhafra region. Officials insist there was no radiation leak and no casualties.
United Arab Emirates has blamed Iran, or one of its proxies, calling it a dangerous escalation. Its foreign minister held phone calls with regional counterparts, including Saudi Arabia. Riyadh has condemned the strike as a direct threat to regional security.
Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia says it intercepted and destroyed 3 drones that entered its airspace from Iraq early Sunday morning. The Saudi Defense Ministry says the kingdom reserves the right to respond at the appropriate time and place. The latest incidents are fueling fears that the Iran conflict could spill further across the Gulf.
Amid the growing tensions, Donald Trump turned up the heat on Tehran. In a fiery social media post, the US president warned Iran to move quickly towards ending the conflict. Trump wrote, and I quote here, "For Iran, the clock is ticking. They better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them."
Now, Trump also spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about the situation in Iran on Sunday. And sources say that Trump met with members of his national security team on Saturday, and he is expected to convene his top national security team in the Situation Room on Tuesday.
Well, Trump told Axios that he still thinks Iran wants a deal and he is waiting for an updated Iranian proposal. But the president declined to give a specific deadline to this. Iran, however, says that Washington is offering no meaningful concessions. Iranian media claims the US is trying to secure through diplomacy what it failed to achieve during the war.
And now Pakistan is stepping in once again as a mediator. Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi met top Iranian officials in Tehran on Sunday as Islamabad attempts to revive back-channel peace efforts between Tehran and Washington. Now, Israeli missile strikes in Lebanon have killed 7, including an Islamic Jihad commander and his 17-year-old daughter.
Despite a ceasefire in place, Israel continues to hammer southern Lebanon with strikes and issues frequent evacuation warnings to towns and villages across the south. According to the preliminary toll for Israeli strikes published by the Lebanese Health Ministry on Sunday, 3 people were killed in the town of Tair Felseh. 2 others were killed in Tair Derba.
The Islamic Jihad commander, Wael Abdel Halim, and his daughter were killed in a strike on an apartment on the outskirts of the city of Baalbek in the country's east. 2 Israeli strikes also hit the town of Somor in eastern Lebanon's Bekaa Valley the same day.
At a cabinet meeting, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said Israel was not only securing territory and protecting its communities, but was also battling an enemy he said was attempting to outsmart the country, in an apparent reference to Hezbollah.
היום אנחנו עומדים בפני סיכון של רחפני סיב.
Today we are faced with the thwarting of fiber optic drones. This is a specific type of threat. I convened a special team together with the Minister of Defense and people from the Ministry of Defense and people outside the Ministry of Defense, not only in the industries but also in the civilian sector.
ואמרתי להם, עכשיו עשיתי 3
Now, footage of fiber optics drones hitting Israeli tanks, soldiers, and bulldozers in South Lebanon has become increasingly common as Hezbollah puts the weapon at the center of its war against Israel. And they are cheap, disposable, and hard to evade. On Saturday, the group said it had struck a military target in northern Israel, having earlier announced several operations against Israeli forces in southern Lebanon.
Now, the latest exchanges of fire came after envoys from Israel and Lebanon held a 3rd round of negotiations in Washington and even agreed to extend the ceasefire, talks that Iran-backed Hezbollah has repeatedly denounced. A Hezbollah lawmaker said that the talks let them down a dead-end path that will result in nothing but one concession after another.
He cleared that neither the Lebanese government nor anyone else will be able to carry out the demands of Israel, who he referred to as enemy. He particularly highlighted the issue of disarming the group.
That have led us to this unique moment. And the opportunity here, I know some of you are shouting questions about ceasefires. This is a lot more than just about that.
The US president struck a neutral tone on Taiwan, and this was after his meeting with Xi Jinping.
And this has raised fears of Taiwan becoming a bargaining chip in China-US diplomacy. And Taiwan's president said Taiwanese people are very concerned about Xi and Trump discussed during their closed-door meeting in Beijing.
Well, this was to assure citizens. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te released a strong message on social media. He declared that Taiwan will not be sacrificed or traded away and will never give up its democratic way of life under pressure. And this comes after US President did not provide a clear answer on weapons package to Taiwan after his visit to China. Trump said he is still considering whether to move forward with a new arms package for the island.
Lai reiterated that U.S. arms sales to Taiwan are not political favors but security commitments rooted in American law. He is referring to the Taiwan Relations Act, which mandates U.S. to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself.
However, Chinese President Xi Jinping warned that mishandling Taiwan could lead to clashes and even conflicts between the world's two largest powers. Trump later revealed that he declined to give clear answers to Xi Jinping when he asked whether US would defend Taiwan if China launches the attack.
Meanwhile, a new report by Axios hints at growing worries of a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan. And according to this report, Trump's close advisors fear that his Beijing visit could have increased the risk of Chinese invasion. The report cites U.S. officials saying that China could make a military move on Taiwan within the next 5 years. Now, the wall construction project along the U.S.-Mexico border is accelerating.
The indigenous communities here, they say that it is damaging ancestral land, burial grounds, cultural sites, and fragile ecosystems. In California, contractors use dynamite on the Cuchama Mountain, a site revered by the Kumwai people, with debris spilling across the border into Mexico. Tribal leaders say that the blasts disrupted a sacred landscape central to their identity.
The end of our history, the ending of our how would it be? Well, our pride perhaps too. All of that is getting trampled on.
Now, the construction push follows a decision by the Department of Homeland Security to waive environmental and cultural protection laws, allowing projects to move faster across long stretches of over 3,000-kilometer border.
In Arizona, contractors damaged a 1,000-year-old geoglyph despite prior warnings from tribal authorities. While officials describe the damage as inadvertent, several communities are now weighing legal action here. Environmental concerns are also intensifying alongside cultural ones. New barriers and access roads are cutting through sensitive terrain, including wildlife corridors used by endangered species such as jaguars and ocelots.
We want it to be solved, that they put their border, but that they don't destroy it. Well, something that can be protected, that nothing gets through, as they say. Just don't carve it, don't cut it, because it is a wound that they are making on the mountain. They are hurting it, they are destroying it. That's what we don't want.
Now, the federal government says the expansion is necessary for national security, pointing to efforts to curb illegal crossing and trafficking. A $46.5 billion smart wall plan is advancing, combining steel barriers, surveillance systems, and patrol infrastructure.
An international health emergency is in effect over an outbreak of an Ebola strain in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda.
Well, it has killed more than 80 people so far in DR Congo, and of course, fears of further spread grew when authorities confirmed the case in country's biggest city, Goma, which is controlled by the M23 rebels.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, it is mobilizing response efforts following an Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, supporting partners withdrawing a small number of directly affected Americans. Earlier, U.S. media reported that a number of Americans currently in the DRC are believed to have been exposed to suspected cases.
Now, the latest development comes as Congo is battling a rapidly spreading outbreak linked to the rare Bundibugyo strain of the virus. It's a strain for which there is currently no approved vaccine. Well, clinical symptoms include fever, bleeding, and multi-organ damage. The disease has a fatality rate as high as 50 to even 90%.
The outbreak in the DRC has so far been centered in Ituri province in northeastern DRC, near the country's borders with Uganda and South Sudan. Containing the outbreak here is complicated by the constant movement of people. There is a lot of gold mining activity in the province as well, which also suffers from regular attacks by armed groups active in the region.
It is an epidemic that will spread very rapidly, all the more so as it has broken out in a densely populated province, with a high concentration of people and a great deal of population movement. And then, of course, there is the added complication that there are many armed groups in this province. That is what will make managing this epidemic very, very, very complicated.
According to health officials in the DRC, at least 88 people have died, while more than 300 suspected cases have been reported. Now, the virus has also crossed borders with Uganda, confirming a related death. The WHO said the outbreak did not meet the criteria of a pandemic emergency, but there was a high risk that the disease could spread further to countries sharing land borders.
Experts believe fruit bats are the natural carriers of Ebola. Though interestingly, the bats themselves do not fall ill, the virus can also spread through other infected animals, and that can include apes, antelopes and porcupines, before being transmitted to humans. Human-to-human transmission, it happens through direct contact with bodily fluids of infected people, and that can include blood, vomit, other secretions as well. Traditional burial practices that involve physical contact with victims have also contributed to Ebola's spread during outbreaks. Unlike some respiratory diseases, Ebola does not spread through air. However, once infected, patients face a very high risk of death.
Now, Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez has accused the U.S. of fabricating a fraudulent case to justify economic sanctions and potential military intervention.
Well, the minister's comments follow a report by Axios that cited classified intelligence and even suggested that Cuba had acquired more than 300 military drones. In a post on social media, Rodriguez said this: Cuba neither threatens nor desires war, adding, however, that the country prepares itself to confront external aggression in the exercise of the right to legitimate self-defense recognized by the UN Charter.
The report alleged that Havana had discussed plans to use the drones to attack the U.S. naval bases at Guantanamo Bay, U.S. military vessels, and Key West, Florida. Rodriguez did not explicitly mention the drone allegations in his statement.
Well, tensions between the two nations are soaring. The U.S. Department of Justice sources told Reuters last week that they planned to indict former Cuban leader Raul Castro on charges related to Cuba's 1996 shooting down of two planes operated by humanitarian group Brothers to the Rescue.
The indictment of the 94-year-old revolutionary icon would mark a major escalation in the pressure campaign against Cuba by the Trump administration, which has described the island's communist-run government as corrupt and incompetent as it pushes for change.
The U.S. has previously used criminal cases against foreign political figures to justify military actions, and Trump has threatened Cuba is next after his administration in January captured Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro.
Amazing family that were here yesterday in the Oval, sworn in. His family is amazing. So effective probably being the more important one.
On the 18th of May, Norway is all set to announce a green strategic partnership with several countries.
And this will be when Prime Minister Narendra Modi heads to the country for the high-stakes India-Norway summit. The visit underlines deepening India-Nordic cooperation in maritime security, climate action, and technology.
Well, speaking to WION's Assistant Editor Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, the ambassador of Norway to India said the relationship has evolved significantly since the last summit in Copenhagen in 2022. Listen to these excerpts from that interview.
We are here in Oslo, and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit is the big story. With me is Norway's ambassador to India. Your Excellency, it's great to meet you in Oslo. We've met so many times in Delhi. But essentially, how do you see this visit as of the Indian Prime Minister to your country? This is a first visit of an Indian Prime Minister in over 40 years.
The world has changed a lot since the last Nordic India Summit in Copenhagen 2022. So there are a lot of issues on the plate on the geopolitical situation. And also we are looking on the bilateral side to have a green strategic partnership with India. And all Nordic countries have different kind of green partnerships with India. So this is obviously also going to be a big part of the discussions.
The Nordic aspect of the visit. Now, this is the third Nordic summit that's going to happen. This is happening in Oslo. What are the big takeaways one can expect very briefly, ma'am?
The takeaways are those that I have already mentioned. We will discuss the geopolitical situation. All 6 countries who are meeting are democracies. We all support a rules-based world order. So we will discuss on the basis of this, the world situation. How can we together help the situation that is and the difficulties that we have, and then also all Nordic countries have in different ways also technologies to support development and the green development of India.
Now, we bring you a news and numbers report, and we look at how disruption at the Strait of Hormuz could ripple far beyond oil markets and into the heart of global technology.
But from helium shortages tied to LNG supply to rising pressure on semiconductor manufacturing, we break down why global chip makers could be among the most exposed if energy flows remain under strain. More in this next report. Take a look.
We have more lined up on World Day on the other side. Here's a short break.
Coming up on the other side, more reports. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on a 5-nation tour, has wrapped up his visit to Sweden. During his 2-day visit, Prime Minister Modi held talks with his Swedish counterpart, Ulf Kristersson, on areas like trade, technology and defense. We'll bring you all the details and what's also in store in the tour as it continues. Stay with us. This is World DNA. Lots more coming up.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Jyotsna. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss on this side of the show. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start with the headlines.
The United Arab Emirates blames Iran or its proxies for a drone strike that caused a fire near a nuclear plant, calling it a dangerous escalation. The fire outside the Baraka nuclear plant has caused no injuries or radiation alerts.
Donald Trump warns Iran that the clock is ticking, warning that if Tehran doesn't come with a better offer for a deal, they are going to get hit much harder.
In Israel, a new death penalty law to be applied to Palestinians convicted of killing Jews in the occupied West Bank has come into effect after Israeli military signed the order necessary to enact the measure in the territory.
DR Congo's rebel-held city of Goma reports the first case of Ebola as World Health Organization declares international health emergency over the outbreak of a strain in the country that has killed more than 80 people so far.
Cuba accuses the U.S. of fabricating a fraudulent case to justify economic sanctions and potential military intervention. This comes following a U.S. report citing classified intelligence which said Cuba had acquired more than 300 military drones.
Two U.S. Navy fighter jets collide mid-air during a demonstration event. The incident involving two EA-18 fighter jets happened in Idaho, with all 4 crew members ejecting safely.
The Indian Navy is set to commission 3 indigenous vessels, a stealth frigate, the Nagiri, an anti-submarine warfare craft, Agre, and a survey ship, Sanshodak, in a fresh push to strengthen its operational edge in the Indian Ocean region.
China commits to buy at least $17 billion worth of U.S. farm products annually from 2026 to 2028, according to a White House fact sheet. This figure does not include the soybean purchase commitments China made in October 2025. As part of a 5-nation tour, the Indian Prime Minister wrapped up his visit to Sweden during his 2-day visit.
Now, Prime Minister Modi held talks with his Swedish counterpart, Ulf Kristersson, on areas like trade, technology and defense. India and Sweden signed Memorandum of Understanding, or MOUs, across multiple areas. And this includes the elevation of the India-Sweden bilateral relations to a strategic partnership, adoption of a joint statement and joint action plan 2026-2030. The move is set to strengthen collaborations in economic, technological, connectivity and sustainability-related areas.
Furthermore, both countries have agreed to launch the India-Sweden Joint Partnership 2.0. Under this, India and Sweden are planning to strengthen their cooperation in areas like artificial intelligence technology, 6G, quantum computing, minerals, space and life sciences. They have also agreed to endorse and develop India-Sweden technology and artificial intelligence corridor.
And furthermore, both the countries will also be doubling their bilateral economic exchange, trade and investment within the next 5 years. Additionally, in a bid to increase job opportunities for youngsters, India and Sweden have agreed to the development of India-Sweden SME and startup platform. Furthermore, India is also looking to advance its soft power by establishing the institution of Tagore Sweden Lecture Series, Vikas Bhi Virasat Bhi.
Following this, the Indian Prime Minister has also been conferred with Sweden's prestigious Royal Order of the Polar Star Decree Commander Grand Cross. This award is given in recognition of Prime Minister Modi's exceptional contributions to bilateral ties and his visionary leadership. The award is the highest distinction that is given to the head of a government and is also Prime Minister Modi's 31st international honour.
In a post on social media platform X, the Indian Prime Minister said that this is not just an honor for me, but also for the 1.4 billion people of India. And to give us more details on this visit, WION's Assistant Editor of Foreign Affairs, Int'l Sibbe, has sent us a report from Sweden. Let's listen in.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has concluded his visit to Netherlands and Sweden, with the big focus was on semiconductors, on clean technology and other areas. Now we know that the Indian Prime Minister is on a 4-nation tour, 4 European countries, and he of course travels to Norway and Italy. But looking at the deliverables from Netherlands and Sweden, clearly India is looking for strategic alignment among European countries, and with a trade pact with EU almost a done deal. It requires a passage in the parliament. It looks like that the European Union and Europe as whole and India are working to find partners at a time of great geopolitical flux. Sudhan Sibbal for WION in Oslo, Norway.
Now, beyond strong ties in diplomacy, trade and technology, India and Sweden also share deep cultural ties.
Rooted in literature and music, one of them is Rabindra Sangeet, the rich body of songs written and composed by Rabindranath Tagore, India's first Nobel laureate. Tagore's works have been appreciated in Sweden and widely translated into Swedish ever since he was awarded the Nobel Prize in November of 1913. The honor was given for Gitanjali, his English prose translation of Bengali poems and songs. The citation described it as profoundly sensitive, fresh and beautiful verse, highlighting how it brought Indian poetic thought to the West.
Now, this laid the foundation for a lasting cultural bridge between India and Sweden. More than a century later, that connection continues in southern Sweden, where an Indian singer trained at Rabindra Bharati University in Kolkata and married to a Swedish journalist established in the Lund International Tagore Choir between 2011 and 2012.
In a heartfelt tribute, the group, largely made up of Swedish singers, performs Tagore's songs in the original Bengali language while preserving their raga-based melodies. The group was formed to carry Tagore's songs and philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore across Scandinavia and beyond. So far, the choir has performed at landmark events, including the Nobel Museum in Stockholm in 2002 and at Stockholm Public Library in December of 2013.
When originally awarded the Nobel Prize, Tagore could not attend the ceremony in Stockholm. 8 years later, he reached Sweden in May 1921 and delivered his Nobel lecture at the prestigious Swedish Academy. Tagore reflected on the prize as a bridge between the East and West.
Large parts across India continue to reel under a heat wave, and the country's northern region in particular is bearing the brunt of soaring temperatures.
And according to the India Meteorological Department, the Delhi NCR region is set to experience a severe heat wave over the next week starting Monday, with the mercury expected to peak at 45 degrees Celsius. People have been advised to be cautious and not go out in the sun unless necessary. The IMD has predicted little relief from the heat in several parts of North and West India till at least the 23rd of May. A press release by the Met Department says the maximum temperatures over Delhi are likely to be between 43 and 45 degrees Celsius, and the minimum temperatures will likely be between 25 and 27 degrees Celsius.
Besides Delhi, several Indian states are also on a heat wave alert as conditions intensify. Rajasthan, Punjab, Goa and several other states and parts of the Konkan region, they are likely to experience heat wave conditions till the 22nd of this month.
Now, on Saturday, Delhi registered a maximum temperature of 40.8 degrees, a minimum temperature of 24.8 degrees, Whereas on Sunday as well, the maximum temperature was above 40 degrees Celsius.
Apart from the heat wave alert, the IMD also made forecasts about isolated heavy rain, but this was only in northeast India, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and in southern parts of the country.
Moving on, a massive political showdown is unfolding in the Philippines. Vice President Sara Duterte is staring at the biggest battle of her career.
And that's an impeachment trial that could either end her political future or make her even stronger. Now, the Philippine Senate is preparing to convene as an impeachment court to hear the case against her. Sara Duterte faces accusations of corruption, unexplained wealth and threatening top officials, including President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. She denies all charges. But the real battle is political, involving two of the Philippines' most powerful dynasties.
Now, Sara Duterte and Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ran together in the 2022 elections, combining the influence of the Duterte and Marcos families. But the alliance quickly collapsed, turning into an open and vicious rivalry.
The tensions escalated further after the Marcos administration handed over former President Rodrigo Duterte to the International Criminal Court over his war on drugs. Now, his daughter's political survival is on the line, just days before the impeachment process moved forward.
Now, pro-Duterte Senator Ronald De La Rosa dramatically resurfaced from hiding to help install a Duterte ally as Senate President, a move that could tilt the trial in her favor.
De La Rosa, wanted by the International Criminal Court over his role in former President Duterte's deadly war on drugs, reportedly fled again after scenes of panic and gunfire near the Senate.
Now, with the Senate deeply divided and Duterte's loyalists holding crucial numbers, the impeachment trial is shaping up as a political showdown that could redefine the future of Philippine politics.
Your Honor, the Senate is in receipt of the resolution.
Heavy rain across China has triggered flooding, transport disruption and emergency rescues, with authorities maintaining a nationwide yellow alert for rainstorms.
In southern China, a pickup truck carrying 15 people fell into a swollen river. Rescue teams recovered one body, while 9 people remain missing as emergency crews continue search operations.
The sudden downpour flooded and submerged low-lying areas under up to 40 centimeters of water. Floodwaters inundated homes and tourist walkways, stranding residents and visitors before authorities evacuated them.
In eastern Jiangxi province, sustained rainfall caused severe waterlogging in several towns in Guangzhou, flooding farmland and vegetable greenhouses. Local teams moved in to drain fields, clear debris and begin disinfection as water started to recede.
Well, the impact also spread to major cities. Continuous rainfall flooded key road sections in Beijing, prompting sanitation crews to clear water and debris. Further north in Shanxi province, authorities activated emergency plans after persistent rain disrupted travel. Forecasters say that the rainfall is expected to continue with further risks of floods.
Now, smashing his own record from last year, a Nepali climber dubbed the Everest Man, Kamirita Sherpa, has scaled Mount Everest for a record 32nd time.
Well, born in Thame village in Solukhumba district, the 56-year-old climber first summited Everest in 1994 while working for a commercial expedition. And since then, he has climbed Everest almost every year, guiding clients. Kamirita's latest feat marked his 32nd successful ascent of the mountain, further cementing his reputation as the Everest Man. His mountaineering journey began in 1992 as a support staff member on Everest expeditions. Over the decades, he has also climbed several other major Himalayan peaks, including K2, Cho-Oyu, Lhotse, Manaslu.
Kamirita was born in the same Thame village in Solukhumbu district as Tenzing Norgay. Norgay and New Zealander Sir Edmund Hillary were the first to climb Everest in 1953. Committee to climb the peak for the first time in 1994 and has repeated the feat every year except in 2014, 2015 and 2020 when expeditions to Everest were closed for different reasons. He even reached the summit twice in some years.
On the same day, 52-year-old Lakpa Sherpa, popularly known as the Mountain Queen, completed her 11th ascent of Everest, extending her own record for the highest number of summits by a woman. She first reached the summit in 2000, becoming the first Nepali woman to successfully climb and descend Everest. And crude prices rose back above $110 per barrel on Monday, driven by fresh drone attacks in the Gulf.
Now, rising oil prices pressured stocks and bonds, and analysts at Capital Economics are sounding the alarm. And they say global oil inventories are draining at a record pace, and at this rate, the emergency reserves will also soon run out. The biggest risk to global energy is still the Strait of Hormuz. Capital Economics bet that if the strait stays closed through June, Brent crude could hit $140 a barrel. And if oil climbs to $140 to $150 and stays there into 2027, inflation could hit nearly 10% in the UK and Europe. And that will likely push the world towards a global recession.
Now, the fallout is hitting financial markets hard. Asian stocks fell on Monday. Japan's Nikkei slipped. South Korean markets have dropped over 2% from record highs, and broader Asia-Pacific indices remain in the red. Last week, China's markets hit their highest in over 4 years, but will have to weather data on April retail sales and industrial output later in the same session. Well, Wall Street futures also point to a red open on Monday.
In yet another sign, investors fear central banks will be forced to raise rates again to fight inflation. U.S. bond yields surged sharply last week. The Federal Reserve is now seen as having a 50-50 chance of hiking rates this year. The dollar gained strength while the euro and British pound both took a beating last week.
Amid the gloom, one name is keeping investors on edge, and that's Nvidia. The world's most valuable company reports earnings on Wednesday. Its shares have already surged 36% since March. The results will be a key test of whether the artificial intelligence boom has real staying power.
A Gulf on fire, oil at over $110 per barrel, and a market waiting on one chip company. It is without doubt a week to watch. Now, on modern battlefields, evacuating an injured soldier can often be just as dangerous as the combat mission itself.
As armies look for ways to reduce risks to human life, militaries around the world are now testing autonomous AI-powered machines designed for high-risk rescue operations. Now, one of them is the Flowcopter FC-100, a heavy-lift drone capable of carrying wounded soldiers, delivering critical medical supplies, and even operating in harsh conditions with minimal human input. There's more in this next report. Take a look.
Across a training ground in Poland, Polish and American forces have been testing the Flowcopter FC-100, a heavy-lift AI-assisted drone built to evacuate wounded soldiers from the battlefield. The test took place during the SAW-26 military exercise in Bemowo-Piski, where troops simulated a casualty evacuation under field conditions. Instead of risking additional soldiers to reach the injured, the drone is designed to fly directly into dangerous areas, pick up a casualty, and transport them to safety. For the demonstration, the aircraft carried a life-sized test dummy known as Rescue Randy, built to match the weight of an actual human casualty. Unlike most large drones that depend on batteries, the Flowcopter uses a hydraulic system powered by a gas engine that allows it to carry heavier loads, stay in the air longer, and refuel quickly between missions. The aircraft can operate for up to 6 hours on a single tank of fuel and continue flying in rain, snow, and other harsh conditions. The officials say that casualty evacuation is only part of the picture. The drone is also being tested for daily logistics missions, including the delivery of medical supplies, blood products, and essential equipment to troops in the field. Military teams also use the exercise to test AI-assisted medical technology inside medevac vehicles, as armed forces look for faster ways to move the injured from the point of attack to medical facilities. The exercise also included testing of new medical monitoring systems designed for extreme conditions, as military teams look to improve trauma care on the move.
And in sports, Yannick Sinner is continuing to write his name into the record books. The world number one has become only the second male player after Djokovic to complete the career Golden Masters.
The 24-year-old defeated Casper Ruud to achieve this feat by winning the Italian Masters in Rome. Well, Sinner, who had lost to Carlos Alcaraz in the tournament's final last year, finally captured the elusive title on home soil on his 7th attempt. He clinched his 5th ATP 1000 title of the year with a 6-4, 6-4 win in an hour and 44 minutes. And Sinner is the first Italian to win the title since 1976. World number one Sinner has now won a record 6 Masters title in a row. The speed with which Sinner has completed the Golden Master is startling. He won his first Masters title, the tier of tournaments ranked below the Grand Slams, as recently in 2023 at the Canadian Open. Djokovic was 31 when he created history by winning the 2018 Cincinnati Open. The Serbian then went on to repeat the feat, winning all 9 events, at least twice, aged 33 in 2020. The Sinner's focus now will be on the Roland Garros, and that is the only Grand Slam that is missing from the Italian's trophy cabinet. He can become only the 10th man to complete the career Grand Slam if he wins the upcoming French Open. Well, next up, let's take a look at what's making news in the world of entertainment. With the 79th edition of the Cannes Film Festival turned into a complete fashion spectacle, some of the biggest stars from around the world lit up the red carpet. Bella Hadid turned heads in a glittering silver look with a flowing cape, while Julianne Moore and Cate Blanchett brought classic Hollywood glamour to the quartet. Now, stars including Coleman Domingo and Yuna Lim also made stylish appearances as films continued to premiere at the festival. With the Palme d'Or announcement just days away, the buzz around Cannes is only getting bigger.
Julianne Moore was also honored at Cannes with the 2026 Women in Motion Award. The Oscar-winning actor was recognized for her contribution to cinema and her continued support for gender representation in the industry. Speaking at the event, Moore said the world still has a long way to go when it comes to true equality for women.
Another big Cannes moment came with the premiere of James Gray's Paper Tiger. The film received a massive 10-minute standing ovation after its screening, leaving the director visibly emotional. Starring Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, and Miles Teller, the film tells the story of 2 brothers caught in a dangerous mafia world while chasing the American dream. All right, with that, we call a wrap to a world in it for today. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching Beyond World is One. So stay tuned.
WION India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness. In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is one.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION The World as well. I'm Adya Juneja and this is Speed News. Let's start with all the stories making headlines today. A drone strike near the UAE's Baraka nuclear power plant has raised alarms across the region. Saudi Arabia says it has intercepted incoming drones from Iraqi airspace. Authorities in Abu Dhabi say a drone strike triggered a fire near the Baraka nuclear power plant in the Al Dhafra region. Officials insist there was no radiation leak and no casualties. United Arab Emirates has blamed Iran or one of its proxies, calling it a dangerous escalation. Its foreign minister held phone calls with regional counterparts, including Saudi Arabia. Well, Riyadh has condemned the strike as a direct threat to regional security. US President Donald Trump issued a fresh warning to Iran as negotiations remained stalled over uranium stockpiles, sanctions relief, and compensation for war-related damages after months of conflict across West Asia. The US President's sharp remarks came just hours after Iranian media disclosed Washington's key conditions for resuming negotiations. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has said he is hopeful of a second round of talks between the US and Iran in Islamabad, calling Pakistan a trusted mediator in US-Iran talks. Shehbaz backed a second round in Islamabad and urged patience for lasting peace. Israel's death penalty law for Palestinians convicted of deadly terrorism in the occupied West Bank has officially come into effect. It was enacted after the commander of the Army's Central Command and Major General Avi Bluth signed the required military order. Under the military order, courts presiding over cases involving attacks that resulted in Israeli deaths must apply the death penalty as the only available sentence unless the court finds special circumstances allowing for life imprisonment instead. Israeli missile strikes in Lebanon have killed 7, including an Islamic Jihad commander and a 17-year-old